I had a request come in for yoga postures that would help relieve menstrual and reproductive pain. So that's what we're going to work on today. I'm not going to do a flow, rather I'm going to do a set of about 15 postures. I'm going to show each posture in an isolated way and try to talk about that posture. Some postures will go in deeper than other postures. Know that all postures are related to menstrual health, so I won't be mentioning that for every posture because that's what this is about. However, the body works together. Muscles work together, organs work together. So while something may seem completely unrelated to menstrual health, keep in mind that it is related. Also, if you happen to be of the male variety, many of these postures are also good for overall digestive health and prostate health. So if you're not female, this yoga sequence can still be beneficial for you. Because of the amount of postures we're going to go over today, don't feel it necessary to do every posture every day. Rather, practice a couple postures or 3, or maybe do the whole set in a flow. Mix and match, do whatever feels right to you in your body and your time frame.
Welcome to Fire Vinyasa by Buffy. I am Buffy, and I will be your guide.
Converse Pose is a great way to get started. Bringing the sole of the feet together, bringing the knees down, pressing towards the earth, making sure to keep the back elongated, shoulders back. Take a few deep breaths here. Converse Pose stimulates the ovaries, the kidneys, the digestive organs, and yes, the prostate gland. It also opens up the hips and helps strengthen this overall region. And with our elongation of the spine, it helps bring an increased awareness to our posture, the chest muscles, and breathe. This is a great exercise overall, warming up, cooling down, keeping these muscles stretched and limber, increasing our physicality awareness, along with improving our digestive, prostate, kidney, and menstrual health. You can keep this pose static or do what I'm doing and flap the knees a little bit. One day you might feel like you want to be static and just pressing the knees open feels great. Another day you may decide you want to flap the knees or do a little bit of both. That's Cobbler's Pose. We're going to move on from Cobbler's Pose. In Bridge Pose, we're going to bring the soles of our feet to the floor, knees pointed towards the sky, our hands are down by our waist here, and we're going to push our hips up and bring your hands underneath, lock those fingers, and this is it. It's a supported bridge. We're not going to be doing any pulsing or exercising here. As you can tell, there's a lot of strength building in this lower part of the body here. But also, this pose really does a lot to just promote a deeper sense of relaxation. It's really good for calming the nervous system down, and it relieves headache. So when you think of a woman in her menstrual cycle who might be feeling some pain, sometimes the side effect is headache, so keep that in mind. Also, just by calming down the nervous system can do a lot to relieve some of those pain or cleansing symptoms. And men have nervous systems too, so you know it's a great posture for men. Ideally, you should hold this for at least 30 seconds. You maybe work your way up to 60. All right, we're going to lower back down with safety and come out of this pose by bringing my legs straight down. We're going to set up for Lord of the Fish. So my one foot's going to come around. So I got my heel coming towards my other hip here. And keep in mind, you never have to go as deep. You can be this far away, but just think heel towards opposite hip. And that's going to help you work on that posture. And maybe time, you get a little bit closer, a little bit tighter if you want to. My other heel is crossing over my other ankle here, so I've got my toes pretty much parallel with my knee here, and this suits me. I like that, but you can have this as a much looser pose. And then we're just going to twist the spine, bringing opposite elbow to opposite knee, or you can even hug the knee if that feels better. This hand comes around, it's towards my back, and I'm looking behind me as much as I can. You don't have to turn this deep. You can turn here. I like to turn nice and deep, get a good spinal twist. And that's really what this pose is great for, is spinal mobility. And if you think about it, spinal mobility is one of the most important things you can focus on. If you start losing mobility in your spine, there's going to be a lot of limitations to what you can do. So this pose, regardless of any of the other benefits, is really great for that spinal mobility. And just like anything else, the spine can increase in mobility the more we practice, the more that we move, and the more that we practice twists and do things that require spinal mobility. We can increase that. And by increasing your spinal mobility, you're really going to increase your quality of life and just all the things that you're capable of doing. And you're going to relieve just so much back pain. Okay, our next position is the down dog. The down dog, again, is another posture that just has so many benefits. It's a foundational posture within yoga. You will do a down dog in almost any yoga class you take. With that being said, we're going to focus on these two benefits: improving circulation and relaxing tension. So with that being said, we're going to get into down dog by coming to our knees, a posture known as tabletop. Tuck the toes, reach the hips up high, let your head drop. So your biceps are now framing your ears. Press your heels into the floor, towards the floor. Your legs can be straight, or you can bend your knees. If you're bending your knees, your heels are going to come up. So that's why it's important to press the heels first, then bend the knees. Now you're keeping within posture. Spread your fingers wide on the mat. That way the weight is evenly distributed. And this is a great posture to hold for a few seconds. You can give yourself 5 breaths here. You can give yourself 15 seconds here. You can give yourself a full minute here if you want. If you're someone who can't hold one posture very long, don't worry, there's a lot of people who just cannot handle just being in one position for a full minute. If that's you, feel free to paddle your knees. Maybe count to 10 or 12 with the pedals. And then count up on your toes. Again, feel free to give yourself some reps or count your breaths. This is a great way to just warm up the body. Like we said, improving circulation, relieving any tension you might be feeling. When you're ready to come out of that, just come down to your knees and you're back in tabletop pose. Pose is an extended side angle. Let's talk about getting into extended side angle. There's so many ways to get into this pose in a flow. But if we're doing it in isolated movements, it's not going to be as flowy. So I'm going to get into extended side angle, again, by going into my tabletop, tucking my toes, getting into a down dog pose, and then I'm just going to lift my left leg, bring my feet to my hands, between or on the side of, and then I can come up, reach my right hand up, put my elbow on my knee, kind of resting there. And actually my elbow, if you notice, my elbow is kind of off of my leg, so the pressure is not on my joint, rather on my arm. That would be a safer way to practice. You never want pressure on your joints. And I'm reaching my fingertips high into the sky, really working on elongating the spine, bringing shoulders out of the ears. out. This really is such a great pose to practice. It has so many benefits for you. The other way. So I'm just going to go into a star pose here, give it a nice good stretch, and then I can go right into my other side. This pose also strengthens the entire side body here, which is great. This pose is also used to relieve sciatica, menstrual discomfort. It can relieve constipation and really help reduce low back pain. Possibly someday even take it away. So there you have it. Those are all the benefits of extended side angle. There are quite a few, which is why it's such a great pose, especially for the spine and the side body, and just overall relieving discomfort. You can practice this. I would start with 30 to 60 seconds, to be honest. Some sites will say to hold this pose for 3 minutes. 3 minutes can be a lot if you're just getting started, and especially if you're practicing other poses along with it. Maybe stick to half a minute on each side or 60 seconds on each side. So there you have it. That one is extended side angle. Okay, so in balancing half moon, we're going to choose a side, maybe start with your strong side. I'm just going to kind of roll down. A lot of times we get into this pose from right side angle or down dog or something like that. But I'm going to walk out to a comfortable position. I got my leg up. You can keep your hand down here as a way to build up strength for this pose. The full pose is to bring your hand up so you're making a half moon pose. It's going to improve your digestive health along with relieving hip and low back pain. Now, it's not going to happen right away or the first time you practice, but with consistency, it will reduce that pain. And we can just go from here to the other side. You're going to have one side that's shakier than the other. That's okay. Give yourself a little bit more time. And do each side evenly. This is a harder pose if you're first getting into yoga. So maybe try to hold it for 5 breaths, maybe 15 seconds, but start low, start small, and work your way up. From here, we're going to do a dolphin pose. Dolphin pose is a great pose to strengthen the upper body. Arms, shoulders, chest, okay? And which really is a good pose for overall relaxation and breathing health. So in our dolphin pose setup, we're going to come to a tabletop pose. You're going to come down to your forearms. You can cradle your head. I got my toes tucked, and then you're going to pike, which means bringing those hips up. You're going to walk your feet up to your arms as much as possible. So you're putting most of your balance into your forearms and the crown of your head, and very little in your feet. Now, this is the starting point. Try to hold this pose for about 20 seconds. And then come back. And coming back is pretty self-explanatory. You can just step your way back into a down dog, or come down to your knees. Whatever works for you. Like I said, try to give yourself up to 20 seconds in that pose, or even 20 breaths. Our next pose is Camel Pose. I love Camel Pose. It's one of my favorite poses. Camel Pose is great for strengthening the entire of your abdominal muscles. And by strengthening the abdominal muscles, you're really going to help pretty much everything else in your body. Having a strong core is essential. So if you're just getting started, you want to be on your knees, look up, bring your hands to the lower part of your hips, and just lean back slightly. If this gives you a stretch, then you're good here. Try to get in at least 5 breaths here. However, if you feel like this stretch is kind of easy and I feel like I want a little bit more, I want to go a little bit deeper, the next step is to go for our heels. Really stretch the shoulders and the chest, opening up through the entire body. Look, let your head drop. Look behind you. Again, at least good 5 breaths here. And if you're thinking to yourself, I want even more, you can go hands between feet, really stretching the chest here, squeezing the shoulder blades together, letting the head drop back. A good 5 breaths. When you come up, try to come up using those abdominal muscles. Whether your hands on the floor, hands on the heels, or hands on the back. We really want to engage those muscles to bring our body up. Next pose is a stomach on the floor pose. It's called bow pose. The great thing about bow pose is that it's going to increase your spine flexibility and mobility. We talked about that's a very important thing. It also, the great thing about bow pose is it begins to unlock a lot of the muscles that are in the chest, the upper part of the shoulders, the lats there, and the hips. So, bow pose might be kind of complicated at first. You might feel really tight. Take it slow and easy. But as you practice, and the more you do bow pose, the more you will start to feel those muscles unlocking. So to get into bow pose, I'm just going to come down to my tabletop pose. I'm going to lower myself down. I'm on the floor now. I'm going to start by bringing my heels up. Now, the traditional bow pose is that you reach for your toes. This is not accessible for everybody. And if you're one of those people, that's fine. Today I do not have a yoga strap with me. If you have a yoga strap, you can bring the strap around your ankles and then hold on to them where it is accessible to you. Or if you do not have a yoga strap, just bring your hands back. Alright, in bow pose, once we're hanging on to our feet, our ankles, our front of our feet, wherever you can reach, you're going to take a deep breath down here. And on the next exhale, we're going to lift up. When you lift, try to lift evenly. So my pelvis is on the ground, my chest is up, and my knees are up. I'm going to bring my knees in towards each other, and I'm looking towards the front of the ground. Lower down. Give yourself 5 counts or 5 breaths. It's really important to breathe in this pose. If you lose count, just lower when you need to. But remember to breathe. Inhale, exhale, lift. And breathe in the pose. And lower back down. You can do that for 5 sets. If 5 sets is not accessible, maybe try 3 and work your way up. It's going to be rope pose. So in addition to being good for relieving that menstrual cramp, the menstrual pain, it's also really good for the upper back. So we're going to start by bringing our toes underneath of us. So I'm on my toes now. I'm going to twist around, so here's my front hand, and I'm bringing it around my knees. This hand comes around, and you just stretch as much as you can. This is another great area for a rope, a yoga strap. You can bring that strap around, hang it to the bottom, and then reach for that strap with your other hand. So we're just going to hang out here. This is really great for the upper back. I'm getting a twist in my upper spine through the shoulder blades rather than twisting as much in the lower lumbar spine. Don't forget to try to go both ways. Hold 3 to 5 breaths, 15 to 30 seconds. You can pretty much do that with all of these postures, and if it's one that you really love and want to stay in, then go for it. It's a pose dedicated to Sage Marachi III. It's great by itself. It's also a nice cooling down pose, which is why I saved it for one of the last poses that we're going to go over. So in Sage Marachi, I'm going to come to a seating position. I'm going to stretch one leg out, So I got one straight leg, one bent leg, and I'm going to again bring this arm around, and I'm going to meet it with my fingers. So there's nice straight back, and that's what this is really great for, is strengthening the muscles that are around the spine. It's really good for opening up the hips and increasing the strength in this folded leg. And we are also opening the chest muscles here, really opening through the clavicle. So it's just a really good pose. It feels really good. Again, this is a pose that you can use a strap for. If you can't reach your fingers, that's okay. Not everybody has long arms. While you're in this pose, take a lot of deep breaths. Remember, we're strengthening. You don't have to lift the foot off the floor anytime, but you can if you want to. Just working on that strength, that compression, opening through the spine and the chest. It's a really great pose. All right, from here, it's hand, big toe. Like I said, normally I would not be wearing shoes. So in this pose, I'm going to choose one foot. Normally what I would do is I would lock my finger around one toe. And I'm going to use that to bring that leg closer to my body. This leg can stay up, or it can come straight down, or you can even be in a 90-degree angle. This is probably the most relaxing here, right here. You're in your most restorative position, and you're really working on strengthening and stretching all the muscles in this leg. Or you can play with it. If you're someone who's easily bored like I am, I usually have to do something else. Switching legs. You don't have to switch like I just did. It can be much more restorative. You can bring both feet to the ground, both knees down, and then lift up your opposite leg. I have more fun doing the scissor thing. While you're here, focus on each leg. Focus on strengthening and stretching the muscles in the leg from ankle to glute. And just play in that position for as long as feels good to you. In between, you can do knee to chest. Knee to chest is a great restorative position, and it's a good transitioner from position to position. The last position we're going to talk about today is reclined bound angle. So I'm going to bring my soles of feet together so my knees are pointing out opposite sides. You can have your triangle as tight or as loose as feels good. Bring one hand to the chest, one hand to the abdomen. This is a great hip opener. This is a great restorative stretch for your legs, as well as just letting the whole body relax. So this improves a lot of well-being, thoughts of well-being. It promotes deep sleep and deep relaxation, all things we need so that our bodies can properly heal. And if you're experiencing pain and it's related to your menstrual cycle, then better sleep, better relaxation is something that you need. Deep inhale and exhale. Do this as long as you want. Get in bed, put your feet together, meet the person next to you, and just go to sleep. Okay? This has been Fire Vinyasa with Buffy.